In a world where silence is a haunting echo, where the sun barely pierces through thick, ashen clouds and the air hangs heavy with dread, we find ourselves in the remnants of what was once a bustling city. This is not just an apocalypse, it's a nightmare that never ends. Meet Sarah, a survivor hardened by grief and loss, wandering through the crumbling skeletons of skyscrapers, clutching a rusted knife, her only weapon against the horrors that lurk in the shadows. Her once vibrant green eyes have dulled to a faded hazel, reflecting the desolation around her. She moves cautiously, every sound amplifying the tension, each step weighed down by the memories of her past life. It all began with a virus, not just any virus, but one that turned people into something monstrous, something not quite human. The infected roamed the streets, hunting the uninfected, driven by an insatiable hunger. They were no longer family, friends, or neighbors. They were predators, and the world became their hunting ground. As Sarah navigates the debris-laden streets, she stumbles upon a small group of survivors huddled in a dilapidated storefront. Their faces are gaunt, eyes wide with fear, and they are wary of her at first. Among them is a man named Jake, whose strong demeanor hides a painful backstory of loss. He was once a father, now just a shadow of what he used to be. "We need to stick together," he urges, his voice shaky yet firm. "There's safety in numbers, but we must leave before nightfall. They come out when it's dark." As twilight descends, the survivors gather their meager supplies, and a bond begins to form. However, Sarah can't shake the feeling that something is off. A sense of paranoia creeps in as she notices Jake's lingering glances at her, an intensity in his gaze that sends shivers down her spine. What if one of us is infected?" she whispers to the group, her heart racing. The air thickens with tension, the unspoken fear hanging heavily above them. Jake's eyes narrow. "We'll know if someone shows signs. We just have to trust each other." As they prepare to leave, the group hears a faint scratching sound, like nails against concrete. It sends a chill through them, an instinctive terror that has become all too familiar. They freeze, hearts pounding in their chests, and instinctively move toward the back of the store, seeking refuge. Suddenly, the door bursts open, and a figure stumbles in. A woman, her clothes tattered, face smeared with dirt and blood. "Help me!" she cries, her voice a desperate plea. But the group hesitates, remembering the stories of infected individuals who lured survivors into traps. Jake steps forward cautiously. "Are you infected?" he demands, his voice a mixture of authority and fear. The woman shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. "No, I swear. I was attacked, but I escaped. Please, you have to believe me." In that moment, the moral dilemma hits hard. Should they trust her and risk their lives, or should they turn her away and possibly lose a chance at salvation? The group debates, voices rising in panic. Sarah feels torn, the weight of humanity pressing on her conscience. Just as they reach a decision, the scratching sound grows louder, more frantic, and they realize it's not just the woman at the door. Shadows move outside, figures lurking just beyond the fading light. The infected are here, drawn by the commotion. "We have to go, now!" Jake shouts, his voice slicing through the chaos. They grab what they can and sprint out the back door, the woman following close behind, her breath ragged. The streets are dark, littered with remnants of a civilization that once thrived. The air is thick with tension, and every corner feels like a trap waiting to close in on them. As they run, Sarah glances back and sees the infected emerging from the shadows, grotesque and relentless, their hollow eyes fixed on their prey. They duck into an alley, hearts racing, breaths coming in short gasps. "What now?" someone whispers, panic etched on their face. Jake takes charge, his instincts kicking in. "We find shelter until dawn. We can't let them catch us." The group squeezes into a small abandoned building, its walls crumbling and the air stale. The woman, still panting, looks around with wide eyes. "You can't hide here. They'll find us. We need to keep moving." But Jake shakes his head, determination hardening his features. "We stay here. We'll take shifts watching. We can't afford to be reckless." As night envelops the city, the infected roam the streets outside, their guttural growls echoing in the darkness. Sarah sits against a wall, her mind racing with thoughts of survival, and the woman approaches her. "You're scared, aren't you?" she says softly. "Of course I am. We're all scared," Sarah replies, her voice trembling. "But I'm more scared of what we might become if we lose our humanity." The woman's gaze turns somber. "You think it's better to be dead than to become one of them? I'm not so sure anymore." The night stretches on, filled with the haunting sounds of the infected prowling outside. Each creak of the building feels like a countdown, their fate hanging by a thread. Just when Sarah thinks they might survive until dawn, a loud crash echoes from the front of the building. The infected have found them. Panic erupts as Jake shouts for everyone to run. In the chaos, Sarah feels a hand grab her wrist. It's the woman. "Come with me," she yells, dragging Sarah toward a back exit. They burst through a door just as the infected flood in, their eyes glinting with hunger. They run into the night, the sounds of chaos behind them. But as they reach the alley, Sarah's heart sinks. Jake and the others have scattered, and the infected are closing in fast. The woman turns to Sarah, eyes wild. "We need to split up. It's our only chance." Torn between fear and instinct, Sarah nods. They part ways, each taking a different path into the darkness. The sounds of the infected grow louder, and dread fills the air. As Sarah races through the twisted streets, she hears the woman's screams echoing behind her. They pierce the night, a haunting reminder of the fragility of survival. Eventually, Sarah finds herself in a small park, overgrown and eerily silent. The moonlight casts an otherworldly glow over the remnants of a once bustling playground. She sinks to the ground, her heart racing, the weight of isolation and despair crashing over her. But then, a familiar figure emerges from the shadows. It's Jake. He looks disheveled, covered in grime and blood, but alive. "Sarah," he gasps, relief washing over his features. "I thought I lost you." "What happened to the others?" she asks, dread pooling in her stomach. "I don't know. I didn't wait to find out. I came looking for you," he replies, desperation in his voice. But as they embrace, Sarah notices something off about Jake. A flicker of something primal in his eyes, a shadow of the infection. "Jake, are you okay?" she whispers, her heart sinking. He pulls back, a smile that doesn't reach his eyes, a darkness lurking beneath the surface. "I'm fine, Sarah. Just fine," he says. but there's a tremor in his voice. Suddenly, they hear the distant sounds of infected cries. The night is alive with danger. They have to keep moving, but as they run, Sarah can't help but wonder, is Jake still the man she once knew? Or has he changed, just like the world around them? With fear clinging to her, she glances back at the shadows. The line between sanity and madness blurs, and in this post-apocalyptic nightmare, survival might come at the cost of her very humanity. As dawn begins to break, illuminating the wreckage of their world, Sarah knows that the true horror lies not just in the infected, but in the choices they must make to survive. And as the sun rises, casting long shadows over the city, she realizes that sometimes, the monsters we fear the most are the ones who wear familiar faces.